So I'm Cordless VII. I was or am I should say am a lead designer, level designer. I don't never know the title, but I think that's close to it. But yeah, so I basically go in and get with the team to figure out the theme of whatever the build's going to be, and then design it, figure out where I want to have different plots or different parts of like the whole city, and then build the structures, and then pass it over to decorators, and usually do like another pass before we send it over to you. Um, yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
that
the
about
best way to describe it.
yeah that about sums it up. Now, Cordless joined the team when we started up with the Far Harbor stuff, which was it actually took us quite a while. We did that. We started so originally we did when we started doing Rise of the Commonwealth, we were going to try and tackle all of just the Commonwealth settlements, and then we're like, we'll go back and do the DLC later. But then we didn't even end up getting done with all of the Commonwealth ones. There were a handful of them we skipped for various reasons, and then a couple that we just had so close, but I wanted to get it out before the end of the year, so we ended up just scooting those back. But then when we finally got to the DLC ones, we had ramped up our quality level and like changed. We learned so much during the other way that it ended up now they take a lot longer to produce. So you've been on the team for probably 3 or 4 months now, working on
Yeah,
the.
yeah, it's been a little while.
So how did you first hear about the Sim settlements and the city plan contest? Because I know, or I'm sorry, not city plan contest, but the fact that I needed people for Rise of the Commonwealth, because I know I had seen on your YouTube stream and stuff that you had not used Sim settlements yet, like that, and for understandable
Yeah.
reasons, is like you're definitely like you like to build things yourself, and Sim settlements on the surface looks like it's going to take that away from you.
Yeah, that's it's funny too because I heard about Sim settlements from all the comments in my videos like, have you tried out Sim settlements? It's really cool. And so, once I saw like that pattern, I jumped on and just went to Nexus to see what it was about. And yeah, it seemed cool. It seems like, from my understanding of it, just from very quickly reading the description, it just seemed like, the settlement built up for you. And I was like, well, that's really cool. I was like, but that kind of puts me out of a job, since I'm a settlement builder. And so I didn't go past that. And then people started asking me. I started the Discord server, my Discord server, and started talking to more modders. And I think it was either Demanding or Mimaf who hit me up, and they were like, "You should really, he needs people to help build. You should really reach out." But I had so many people. It was so many people talking to me about it, and then they were the I guess nail in the coffin, icing on the cake, whichever way you want to refer to it. Um, and so that's why I really trust them, and I admire the work that they did with like creative clutter and everything. So I checked it out, and yeah, that's what. So blame them too for getting me involved.
And I would actually say if anything, Sim Settlements gives you a longer tail on your job because so many people don't actually want to play with settlements and they want things like transfer settlements, blueprints, and city plans so that they don't have to build. So they're looking for pros like you to do the work for them.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is too, and it was the assessment that I had where I'm like, oh, it just builds it for you wasn't, obviously wasn't accurate. When I finally got into the team, and like, because I felt bad whenever I was talking to you originally, because I was like, I never downloaded the mod. I don't really know what this is all about.
Oh, I knew.
And yeah. And Strong was I was talking to him. I'm like, so it was like, I think I was like 2 weeks into the project or something, and I messaged him. I said, okay, tell me what this is all about. I was like, how does this work exactly? Because I was playing around with the plots and, with them, leveling up and all that. And I was just trying to, I guess my head just didn't wrap around it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, he like, how he is, he's very thorough. So he was explaining it to me, and he was like, just build something, throw a plot down, do all this stuff. And then he's like, go away for a little bit and go back and see what happens. And so one day it just clicked. I'm like, okay, it's so simple. I don't know why I couldn't figure this out. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was really cool because I really, and if anything, it will build something for you depending on what kind of plot you use. But you still have to build I mean, just from what I've learned working on the project, is you build all around it. So even for people who want to have like this huge city, but they don't want to spend 6 months building it, they can build up like the structure of it and then throw in a plot and have like some amazing stuff come out of it. I don't have to tell you, you designed the whole thing, but
it's been my life for 2 years. I'm very aware.
Yeah. But that's just for my own sake, like for my, or I guess for anyone listening who's like, oh, just build it for you or whatever. That was just my original thought. And people who understood it, they were like, well, yeah, but there's a but after that.
Yeah. And now it can, like with the city plans, because there are quite a few players that actually don't want to engage in city building. They literally just want it to not, like to have a cool location to explore, especially if they've never seen the city plan. So there is the possibility now. But yeah, with just using plots, they just kind of act as filler within your design, and then they have a little gameplay mechanic behind them. But the thing with city plans is there were actually a lot of people when I first posted. So I made a trailer that went is as viral as one of my videos can. Like it broke 100,000 views, which to me is like crazy, because
that's awesome.
I think usually the only videos that get that for mods are like the introduction video or like a video by Gopher or Oxhorn or something. So like for one of mine to do that was pretty wild, and then that gave people the impression that it was all AI controlled, which wasn't, which maybe the title cards I used were misleading, but people still seem to be pretty satisfied with the way they came out anyway, with the city plans being kind of pre-designed settlements that place themselves over time. But had it been the full AI thing, then you would have been right. Then it would have been like, oh, no one needs to build anything anymore because the AI will just randomly generate a town. But
right.
Fallout is just not cut for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
The game engine would fall apart if I tried to give it some machine learning. So we've got what we got here. But I actually prefer this. I think that getting designers like you and the other people we have on our team to handcraft settlements and then fill in some of the gaps with plots works perfectly. You get these incredible designs that look like, like the Longfellow's cabin, which you were the lead on, looks to me like it's better than Far Harbor. Like at level 3, like it's like we designed, the goal with that was let's make it a natural extension, because like the edge of the build area is very close, and there's kind of like a little trail of it's not really dirt. There's like some water to it, but you can walk across it. There's like, I guess, I don't know, would you call that a fjord? But there's like you can easily walk to Far Harbor, and it looks like it should all be kind of the same bay. And so that was the direction we went with it, and it turned out amazing. Like how much time did you spend on that?
Oh yeah, the isthmus. I think
isthmus. That sounds like a fancy word. So does fjord. They both sound like they're. I think anything water like. Anytime I hear the words for, I'm like, I've never heard that before. That sounds really cool.
Well, Tank said that to me. I was like, ooh, that's a good word. I had to Google it and figure out exactly what he was talking about. But that part, so originally it was just, I just pictured like this huge pier, and so I built out, and it's past the border. So I built out this entire pier, just using that like the medium sized pier pieces, and I built it all the way out. I put the posts in and everything, and it's really really long. I mean, and I think I started off with like 3 of them, and then I was outside the border. So every single one outside of that, I had to place first, and then pick it up and use place everywhere to put it down. And so once I built it out, I'm like, okay, this looks like crap because it's just this long repeating pier. And so then I like axed half of it, because there's like a bigger island kind of there in the middle between the two. And then it was and then I started kind of like building around it. I'm like, it'd be cool to have this big ramp, like it looks like they can move it up and down, or this bridge. And it probably took me it's hard to say, man. It was hours. I mean, that was for sure, because at first I had to get the foundation. Then I thought, okay, this foundation sucks, and then I had to. It was raised up at first, and so then I'm like, okay, let me just lower everything to where it's like sunk into the ground almost, and then it took a while to do that.
Are you happy with how it came out in the end?
Oh yeah, everything about that settlement, like I know I promised you I wouldn't say anything, so I only said something to my patrons. Like I only shared screenshots, and it was only like of the lighthouse and that part, the big that bridge part. But it's only to my patrons, only on Discord. And I was like, do not share this. But yeah, I loved it so much. Everything about that build, and that's what I in the video that I made for it. I made sure to let people know that like I built the structures. Like the decorations is what I think really brings it to life, and that's like a whole nother. I mean, that's you know, if that might have taken more time, to build and decorate all that than it did to build the structure. So the decorators did an amazing job.
I agree. I think that's, and our testers declared it the best settlement yet out of all of our Rise of the Commonwealth city designs. So congrats to you there. You got
Thanks.
the vote from our testing team, and they have been. So we have a couple of testers on our team who have been there through thick and thin. Like they joined me like maybe a month and a half after I released the initial mod, and have been on board testing every day since. So they've seen all versions of the settlements, like at every stage, and declared Longfellow's like they didn't even miss a beat. It was like the first time they saw level 3, it was like best settlement ever.
That's awesome.
So that you did that one, and you also worked on Dalton Farm. Have you had a chance to check out the final version of that? I know you were out of town when we were wrapping that up, so I don't know if you've even actually seen the final rendition of it.
Oh yeah. I went through. I just made a video on it actually last week.
Nice.
So yeah, I pulled up the yeah.
Have you released that? Is that something I can go watch after this?
Yeah. If you want to, it's just like the Longfellow build, and I was just it's the same thing. I'm like, I did part of this. This isn't my like. I want to let people know like this. I can't take credit for all this. But it was awesome. Yeah, I loved. I mean, it's really the decorations and everything that they did, and especially with what they did to the truck, how they made it look more, like they're actually using the truck.
Oh yeah, that was the Donald Strong Mad Max approach.
Yeah,
he seems to sneak one of those into as many builds as he can.
Yeah, I could definitely tell, and yeah, that was probably like the best part. And then for me anyway, I just love like the vehicles that they make.
Yeah.
And then he like revamped the staircase that I had going up from, I guess when you first walk in, that goes up to the player home. It's the one that's like to the right of the player home. It's like this huge like, I don't know.
Where it was made out of like pier stairs.
Yeah. And I think I originally had all that like built into the ground. And and in the video, I was just making fun of how obnoxious that staircase is, but it looks great. Like I think it looks so much better than what it was before. But I'm just like, this is my favorite part. Tell me this isn't obnoxious. But I love the way that
build
came out
was. Too. That build was a challenge because we experimented with something with that. But yeah, overall, I think it came out really good. My favorite part was the bar. Was the Cynical Bounce put in some interesting decorations behind the bar. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh yeah. I actually made a comment on that on my video. I said, I love this bar, and this is why, and I showed that part.
Yeah, I was a big fan of that. I love creative use of pieces to make stuff like that. Which is one of the things we've been very fortunate to have Robotin, the guy who did the Snappy Build Kit, come onto the team and give us a lot of cool workshop pieces that are new, so that we can kind of hodgepodge things together and kind of make whatever you want. Like we almost have like a full artist suite of tools now.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan, and have been for a long time, of the Snappy House Kit that he made. And like every time I talk to him, I get like, I'm just starstruck, because like that mod like got me through my Sanctuary build, which is like the majority of my YouTube channel. So like when I'm talking, I mentioned something, about something that he did, and Strong's like, oh yeah, he made these, the big beer, whatever you want to call them, out of the Mirelurk vats. I'm talking about that we used, and he made the milk version of that too. And I'm just kind of like, just fanboy out every time. I'm like, oh, he made those.
Yeah, really, he does really great work. And he's he kind of learns on the fly. Like I believe, from what I recall, he started out just dinking around in Nifscope, which is the freebie software that's really
Yeah,
hard to use, and like just learned 3D Studio Max specifically to do better work with his Fallout 4 mods, which is really
that's
impressive to me
awesome.
because that's a tough piece of software to learn.
Yeah, I've poked around a little bit and I can get by, but I can't do a fraction of what these guys do.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. But I can't do a fraction of what you do with these settlement designs, and that's why I am glad you joined on board because my settlement designs are like pale in comparison. I tend to get bored well before I get them to a level of quality I'm satisfied with,
Yeah.
which is probably why I invented sim settlements. But yeah, you've been doing. How long have you been building for Fallout? Like you've had your channel going for quite a while now.
Yeah, it's been about like 2.5 years, I think.
Did
And
you jump on
really,
board right away when Fallout 4 came out?
no, it was probably March is when I really started like posting because I didn't even like settlement building at first. I was really annoyed with it. I just wanted to play the game and play the story. Um, and Fallout 4 was the first Fallout game that I played. I didn't, I was more into
Boo.
like, I know, I know. I was into like Elder Scrolls, Morrowind and Oblivion and all that. And it's not like I was against Fallout. I didn't have any friends that played it. And then I was playing Destiny for a long time, and then a buddy of mine was like, "Oh, Fallout 4 is coming out." He's like really hyped about it, and and then so everyone stopped playing Destiny, and I got bored, so I downloaded Fallout 4, and the rest was I was hooked instantly with the character creation. Obviously, being like a settlement builder, I love customizing things, so like being able to create my character the way that I could, that was amazing to me. And then it was really like a couple months later that I started. Is when I beat the story. Is when I was like, fine, I'll try this settlement building thing because I love the game and I love the lore of it. So let me start playing around, and then yeah, I think it's around like March is when I started.
When you got hooked on the settlement idea, was that
Yeah.
when there were a decent amount of mods out at that point? Because
Well, I was on.
people started modding the game pretty quickly.
Yeah, yeah, and I was on Xbox, so
Ah,
it took
okay.
a
So yeah, that
little
was
bit.
before. Yeah, I don't think Xbox got mods until like June or July.
Yeah, it had been a little bit before we got it, which was good because I'm glad that I got to like really dive into the vanilla system. And I think that's what helped. That's what, because I really just started posting videos with like no commentary. It was just like I posted a video. That's where Cordless VII, that's just my gamer tag. So I just created my YouTube channel so I could share with my buddies.
Right.
I'm like, hey, look at this stupid hotel that I made. you know, and and then people just started asking questions. Like, how did you do this? How did you do that? And then I just was like, oh well, if you grab a wall and look down, you can squeeze it in and get past the limitation, stuff like that. And I think that's kind of what helps get some traffic to my channel was those kind of tutorials.
It's funny your experience or your I would say your order of things is exactly opposite of mine. So for me, I was incredibly hyped when I heard Fallout 4 was announced because I've been a fanboy of all the games. And then when that came out, I played through it, did my first playthrough, and then I'm like, all right, I'm going to wait till they release all the DLC, and then I'll come back and play it again. And then during that time, while I was waiting, is when I got hooked on Destiny. And then as soon
Oh,
as the
nice.
creation kit came out, then I quit Destiny and never played it again. And those guys they probably didn't miss me, though, because I was terrible at Destiny.
Yeah, yeah. I can relate.
But yeah, that time that was a fun game for what it was. I've actually, when I saw Fallout 76, I immediately thought of Destiny. I was like, the small squad stuff, like the repetitive grind for gear, and I'm like, oh, I don't think I want to do that again.
Yeah, after a like 8-hour raid that we didn't finish, or no, we did finish and didn't get anything that I needed, I was like, you know what? I don't know if this game's for me. you
Right.
know? So I
Yeah.
can definitely relate there. And then Destiny 2 came out, and I tried playing it, but I couldn't. I couldn't devote the time because I'm doing YouTube, so that like all my time goes to to figuring out what I'm going to building it, and then making a video on it.
And I have so much respect for people who do YouTube full time. Like the amount of time it takes me to do a video and like edit it down and make sure that I get as many of the hiccups out of it as I can and make it entertaining. It's a challenge. Like it takes a lot of hours.
Yeah, and I wish that I could do more like live stuff, where I don't have to do voiceover. I wish I could
Hmm.
just like pull up the game and just like, well, now I used to do like build videos. Now I really just do, here's what I built, and I do like a walkthrough, like a tour.
Right.
But even then, I was like, I would just I don't like a lot of lull. Like, I want it to be very quick and fast because keeping people's attention these days is really, really hard.
Oh
So I
yeah.
don't want to. I watched like my old videos that were like 40 minutes long, and it was like, a minute of me going, yeah, okay, there it goes. Now let's move on to this. Like it was just
Right.
a nightmare. But I wish I could just do more things on the fly and actually just do it live instead of having to build it, do a walkthrough, and then piece the video together and do commentary over top of that, because commentary takes me forever to do.
Yeah. Have you thought about, or have you tried already doing Twitch streaming while you build?
Not yet. People have been asking me to do a live stream, and I'm going to. I know I will, especially when Fallout 76 comes out. So, like, probably my first playthrough, I'll do a live stream. Um, but the reason why I haven't is because it's really easy to hide behind the editing. If I say
Right.
something wrong or stupid, I can just cut it out. But if it's a live stream, it's going to have those moments where I'm not talking, or it's going to have moments where I just say something that doesn't really make sense, or I stumble over my words, or
Sure.
it's just you're just more vulnerable.
Yeah.
But it's
I'm actually surprised we don't have more social justice mobs taking out people on Twitch, because some people say some messed up stuff on there.
yeah.
And like
I
it's like
watch the compilation videos.
you can't edit that out. It's like that is out there. I'm
Yeah.
actually trying my first live stream, but I have no. I mentioned this in our last team meeting. I have no desire to do the like full time streaming like those. I don't think I have the personality to be on like for that many hours at a time. Because like I think the people who are successful at it, you've got to be able to like you said, like those lulls, like that'll kill your viewership. Like the people who make a living doing that are just firing on all cylinders for 6-7 hours at a time. It's like that's just not me.
Yeah. I'm with you there. I could not do that. I'm normally very, very like it just depends really, but I'm normally very chill,
Mm-hmm.
and watching like I'm still figuring out how to come across on my videos. So like for the first year, if not longer, I go back and watch those videos. Not that that happens very often, but can you still hear me? My computer went down.
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, my screen went black. I was like, "Oh God, this is it." But no. So I watched those videos and I sound like Bob Ross. Just so calm and soft spoken.
Oh, that's great.
And
I love Bob Ross.
yeah, and people would say it's not. Yeah, it's definitely it's not a bad thing. But and people would even comment on those videos. It's like the Commonwealth Bob Ross or something. And I listened to it. I'm like, I get what they're saying, because it was very like I'm in a quiet room by myself and have a microphone, so I'm talking very, very low.
Yeah.
And then I overcorrected by being so like animated and loud with my voice. And I watched that video. I'm like, holy crap, like tone it down a little bit. And I feel like I finally, after like 2.5 years, I found like a common ground, of just how to talk to a microphone to someone who's not there with you in the room.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird one to come up with, because I remember the first video I think I posted on YouTube with voice was a tutorial for salvage beacons, and I was very soft spoken in it. And then I realized, and then after when I put out some settlements, I was so hyped about the mod that I couldn't help but like have my energy come out. And then I listened to Salvage Beacons again, like, oh, it sounds like a different person. So then I re-recorded it with more, like a little more enthusiasm. And I'm not sure what to do with it. Like, I kind of treat it like if I were giving a presentation is kind of the tone I go with. So like when I have to give a presentation to sell a product for work, like that's kind of the way I go at it with it, is that I want people to have some excitement for it, but I also don't want I don't want to be like I don't want to go like radio DJ with it, where it's just like completely chaotic and just saying random stuff to fill in the time. But
what's up, everybody? Yeah.
right, exactly.
Yeah,
So
no, yours is like always like really, really good. Like your commentary is just like on point. I guess you have that voice too, where it's just like natural. To me, it seems like I've always been so jealous.
It's funny how everybody thinks. So, my wife now is annoyed with me because I always tell her, like, my fans say I have a great voice, and she gets really annoyed with me. But it's funny how everyone has a different opinion of what a great voice is. Because for me, I'm jealous of people with like super deep voices. Like, we've got a guy on our team who goes by the moniker Cube, and he's got like the deepest voice you can imagine. And I'm like, oh, I want your voice, and so I keep telling him I'm gonna make him voice some of my videos.
Yeah, just
So,
do your videos. Yeah, mine just it took me forever just to like what my approach is that I kind of it's like I'm sitting with like a buddy of mine and I'm just showing him the build that I did. So
sure.
I'm kind of like talking as if I'm talking to a friend of mine who's sitting right next to me. And so you'll hear a lot of the like, yeah, I don't know, man, like or yeah, dude, this works out, I guess, but it's more like I'm addressing one person.
Yeah.
But no one's dogged me for it yet, so I haven't stopped. So
Fair enough.
yeah,
That's not a bad way to go about it. One of the problems I have been trying to tackle in my videos, and this is just a public speaking thing in general, is getting rid of the ums and just allowing myself to pause when I need to, because
yeah,
I don't do voiceover generally. I do in real time record in the game and try and do it all in one take, just as a practice for getting I want to be better at presenting in general,
sure.
just because I have to do it all the time for work. So I figure it's only going to make me a better salesman in that regard, because the position I have is I'm a coder, but I'm often the liaison between the people who are purchasing, and like so they can talk to a coder who actually can give them insight onto exactly what it is that they're trying to accomplish. Because sometimes if you just let all salespeople do it, then the coding side becomes a mess, because they'll promise the world without any concept of how much it's actually going to cost to develop.
I know how that is. Yeah.
Yeah. But so you're primarily on YouTube. You thought about streaming. Is that something you want to like? Are you looking to become content creator as a career, or is this just something for fun you do in between, your day job and whatever else you're pursuing?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to. It's just been this was a complete accident. Like I had no like desire of, or I guess never even thought about going, oh, I should do YouTube videos. It was just like all by accident. And the more I started getting into it, the more I started to love it. I've always been, I guess, more tech savvy. I guess I was into like graphic design for a while and website design, and so it's the videos let me all the editing, so I get to be technical but also get to be creative in the sense. And same thing with like Fallout, like I'm playing a game, but I'm designing a world, I'm designing a city, from nothing. And so it's this huge creative outlet. And I would love to do that like full time, but I just don't know what all I would do, because I've been struggling with what can I do outside of just this one little niche that I have, which is a small part of one video game,
Yeah.
like how to expand past that. And so I've just really just been kind of like playing around with different videos, and I've been having a lot more fun just actually filming videos. Like I went on vacation to Hawaii just recently, and I created a second YouTube channel, which I haven't announced yet, but I created a second channel for those kind of videos that I piece together and add music. And it's more of kind of a vlog, but not really, because I'm not just sitting there talking to the camera and just like, oh, look at me. It's more of like, here's what we did on our trip. And then it's kind of like a home video almost, like an old school home video, but not on VHS and actually has music and stuff to it. But
perhaps you could add some effects to make it look like VHS.
Yeah, I could actually. Sound like it, rewind.
That's stuff. Yeah, I have so many old VHS tapes that I've had to go through multiple times for my family, because I'm the tech guy. So they're like, "Oh, can you restore this video for us?" It's like,
oh yeah,
I've seen a lot of those over the years.
I got a box from my grandmother that's just like, it's like 8 VHS. She, can you put those on DVDs for me? I'm like, sure. I'll put it on a thumb drive for you.
Oh, whoa, that's getting pretty complicated there for grandma.
Crazy. But yeah,
it seems like a tough path to go to full-time content creator, because it seems like, from my perspective, because I actually love Twitch, because I don't have a lot of time for playing games, because I know that if I let myself get addicted to an MMO or something, then I won't be creative, and like that'll go on for way too long. So I tend to I like to play smaller games, and like I love a lot of the small stuff that comes out on Steam and things that I can play and finish in a couple of days. So I
Right.
like to use like Twitch and stuff to check out new games that I haven't played yet. And I've noticed that the two people that seem to have success are either you have to be a cult of personality, you have to be somebody that people just fall in love with and want to follow them around doing whatever they do, or you have to be somebody who's just like insanely good at the latest multiplayer game. Like those seem to be the only ways you can make it on that, which is just a pretty tall order considering how many people are out there doing it. Like there are so many people who are trying to play that stream game.
Oh yeah, and you hit the nail on the head with that. It's exactly. I mean, I look at the YouTubers that I follow, and it's either I just really like their personality, and so I'll just watch anything that they do, doesn't matter, or their content is really really good. Like I watched a lot of. One example is Emergency Awesome. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he does videos on like uh, all the Marvel movies, Star Wars, Game of Thrones, like all the stuff that I'm into and watching. And he'll like give you theories and like break down episodes of like what happened or whatever. So his content is really good, but like him as a person, it's not like he's just like off the wall funny or off the wall interesting. He just makes like really, really good videos that explain further details of something that I already like. So you're right. It's like those two extremes.
And yeah, so trying to figure out, and clearly, if you've just declared you're a bad Destiny player like me, so clearly you're not in that second camp. So you got to go for that first one,
Yeah, I just
which
gotta
you're clearly
hope.
doing a good job of. Because I think what do you got? You've got 40 or 50,000 subscribers, right? If not
Yeah,
more.
I'm at like 56, I think, right now.
Oh, there you go, creeping up on 60 real fast.
Yeah, I can't wait for it. It's yeah, yeah, I'm definitely grateful for it, and especially with with the content that I have, because it's literally just building. Any video that I do outside of that doesn't do as well, obviously, because people are there for that content. But the server that I made, the Discord server, is just that was like I did not expect it to be what it is. I thought people were like, "Hey, you should have a Discord. It'd be really cool to have like a just people who follow you to be in there and talking about settlement building or whatever." And I was like, okay. I just figured I would make it and just have like maybe however many people, 100 people in there maybe. But I think I just love interacting with the community, and I feel like that's what keeps people around or what draws people in is just because I do have that interaction with them.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think one of the things that I've been trying to figure out, like from myself, from my own introspecting, is like why is it that I like certain people on Twitch, and it's almost like you get to feel like a sense of familiarity, almost like they become a friend that's just like in the room with you, like they're hanging out, just doing their thing,
Yeah.
and I think that people like to build up that community, and it just feel like they get to, in this. I don't know if I don't know if everybody goes through it or if it's just it's a primarily a gamer thing of people starting to feel kind of disconnected and lonely, and then being able to make those connections online in these forums is really awesome. Like that was the one thing I attribute to MMOs is a good thing, even though they are kind of a time sucker, is that you end up making a lot of great relationships playing those.
Oh yeah, and a lot of great experiences. And yeah, I'm similar to you. If I'm actually kind of nervous for Fallout 76 to come out, because I get sucked into a game, and like I normally, like with Fallout, I spent months just playing it, and I'm just sitting there, not talking to myself, just boring as all. I'm just in the game and I'm just playing, doing nothing. And so now trying to like, okay, this new game is coming out. I want to experience it, and I want to create good content around it as well, and just keep that Fallout community going. And I'm just like nervous to see how I'm going to do with that, because I'm gonna be doing two things that at the same time that kind of clash with each other.
Yeah, it is kind of a weird thing to do that, and I think that's kind of why I don't play Fallout for a ton unless it's to test out my own mod. Is that I don't want to get sunk in to where I'm disconnected from what I want to be focused on. And like those games have a tendency, like if you go hardcore into them, you can get lost in them. The what would be interesting to see if 76 can do for someone like you is to allow you to still enjoy it like you do a typical Fallout or Elder Scrolls game while being entertaining. Because that, to me, that, like you said, it's almost they're counterintuitive, like they go against each other. The idea of those games tend to draw you in so that you can forget about everything around you, but if you're going to try and create content around them, you have to be aware of everyone around you at all the time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And what I'm really hoping from 76, 'cause I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be an interesting change, but I'm really excited for a private server. I think that would just be absolutely amazing. Like if you have, I know I can't remember the game that lets you do that, but there are some games out there where you host your own private server. You just get your friends and then you all go into the same environment and just do whatever you want. And that would be really cool, especially for builders. You can just go into the game world and then it's multiplayer, but you're all just building something.
Yeah.
Not sure how it would work, but I just think it would be awesome.
Yeah, private servers are the one thing I'm holding out hope for 76. I'm gonna play it absolutely, just to, if nothing else, just go through it once and experience all the story, and the game world looks incredible, and then I'll mine it for ideas to bring back to Fallout 4. But long term, I think private servers are the only thing that would keep me on it, just because I recognize, like, they've already talked about a lot of the grind in the game, about how there's going to be rare materials, and you have to you have to farm for nuke codes to unlock the high-end areas. It's like, okay, clearly that's a gameplay loop, and those, as soon as I see those, it's like danger.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely agree. It's Destiny. It's like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go do this Nightfall strike, whatever, and no, I didn't get what I wanted. Okay, I'll switch my character and do it again. And it's just I definitely see that same pattern. So yeah, you definitely have a point.
But yeah, I mean, it's a new Fallout game, so we'll see. I know when Elder Scrolls Online came out, I dived right into that, thinking like, oh sweet, it's gonna be Skyrim Online, and it's nothing like Skyrim, nothing at all. So it'll be interesting to see if they were able to keep the Fallout feel, because a lot of the people at the company are claiming it does, but obviously they have a vested interest in claiming that.
Yeah.
To see if they actually managed to keep the feel of a Fallout game in there, because they definitely gave it up for Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, the ESO, I tried playing that, and that really is it's just like a version of WoW, It's or like the same kind of style as the Star Wars. What was it, the MMO there? It was like Knights of the Old Republic or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just the same kind of thing, which, I mean, I get some people, like I have friends who play World of Warcraft like all the time. I've tried playing it. I couldn't get into it because I'm used to like Elder Scrolls or Fallout, where you just become like this god of whatever universe you're in, because you just level up and then you can just take over. Where those games, it's more like way more, I guess, linear, and you have to sacrifice some things, so you're not just like completely overpowered.
Right. Well, that's what's going to happen in 76 as well.
Yeah.
It'll just be in a different format. So it'll be again interesting to see how that goes. But that is one of my favorite things as well about the Bethesda formula of you start out as nothing, and then by the end of it you're just like untouchable, godlike, and like that's. Yeah. And usually once I get to the point that's like, okay, I'm ready to go like one shot the final boss. Like, right. And then it feels good.
Mods and yeah.
Right. So yeah, but the private servers I think could be really awesome. Like I've already discussed with a few mod authors like some of the stuff I'd like to do in 76 if we get private servers. But I see that being something that'll be way down the line, just because if they like the private servers, I don't know how that's going to work with interfering with their plans for microtransactions, because if their goal is to fund this on microtransactions and modders can just add whatever they want, like why would people buy the microtransactions? So I assume that private servers are going to be pretty late in the game plan of that, but maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe they'll prove me wrong and put it out in the first year.
Yeah, I mean this is the first time I hope that you're wrong. I hope it is, but yeah, we'll see. Either way, it's like you said, I'm gonna play it, and I'm still gonna do Fallout 4, and just kind of bounce. I'm probably gonna do 76 for a little bit, maybe a couple of months or so, and then just start doing both. Hopefully posting 2 videos a week instead of just the one. And that way, I'm all about keeping my schedule. So I don't want to. I've been wanting to add in more videos throughout the week, but people who have been following me for a while, they're used to, one Fallout 4 video on Saturday. That's my formula. And so if I
Right.
throw in new videos, like a new video on, say, Tuesday, but still do the same already, they're not losing anything. They'll just be gaining new
Right, right.
content. So that's kind of the
The
plan.
I was actually very happy that you agreed to not spill the beans until after we released this, because I had approached Gopher and he agreed to do some city plan design. And then when I told him that he would need to hold all of his video recording for after we released, I think it turned him off pretty hard, because it was like, I think he's on such an insane schedule to put out content,
Yeah.
because I think he puts out a video every day or multiple a day or something crazy. His video schedule is absurd. So I was glad you were able to hold on to it and not spill it a little early in there.
Yeah, and whenever I was talking about my contribution to the project, first, in the start of the call, I almost said, well, other than slowing it down, I have done this. And that's been part of it, as just balancing. Like that was, I'm glad I joined the team and was able to work on it, and that you haven't actually said anything to me about how, like, missing deadlines and stuff like that. But like, I don't know. I chew myself out when that happens. I get so mad. I'm like, because I'm trying to find the right balance, over promising
Yeah.
something, and then, so I appreciate you being patient with me on that. But it's
Well,
definitely, that was a
fortunately for you,
learning curve.
I'm used to it. I've been modding since I was a teenager, and one of the things with modding is, I've tried it both ways, and if you get angry at people and demand deadlines, like, then some of them will get them to you on that time, and others will just leave. But in the end, everybody ends up more grumpy for it, because it's it is people's free time. So I found that it's just generally like, give everybody a deadline so they have a goal. Try to keep up with people so they stick to them, and or they know you're serious about it. But then you got to give a little bit of leeway, or otherwise people are going to burn out real fast. But I think it's a tough balancing act, even from my side, of like, how much leeway do you give, or keeping an eye on if people are burning out and whatnot. So it's a tough balancing act for everybody, because it's a hobby, and like, it definitely has to take a backseat to real life things. Or even in like in your case, like, even though you're making your own videos and building settlements isn't real life stuff, it is, in the sense that you are committing to other people something that you'll do with your time. So it's like, it's real life in that sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I feel like you do have that balance, though, because the seriousness of the project was definitely apparent, and I admired that, because it's like, okay, this is, there are some Fallout projects going on that I've heard about anyway secondhand, that it's more, there's not really active. They have like all these goals, but no one's really having that like initiative. So I think like the weekly meetings, or the bi-weekly meetings that you have, and just the constant checking in with everybody and everything, it's good, because it gets results.
Yeah,
As
there
you
are
know.
a lot of yeah. I've been able to put out content every week or two for coming up on, well, it's about a year and a half now. But I've been, like I said, I've been modding for a long time, and generally most of those big ambitious projects never see the light of day. And I've been involved with some of them for other games, and it's because usually there's a couple of core people who will continue to put out work, and then all the other people that they bring on don't end up producing much, if anything, and then it just turns what was predicted to be a 2-year project into a 7-year project. And trying to keep anyone, even the original idea man, focused on something for 7 years is pretty tough, like when there's no big paycheck at the end or something.
Yeah, no kidding. And I got a small taste of it with the vault that I did, and that was also by accident. I thought it'd be a really cool build, and then someone said, "Oh, you should turn this into a mod," and I was like, "Okay," and then started learning how to do that, and that was a nightmare. And it still is. It's still going. I've had 4 people ask me today when the decorated version is coming out. And I'm like, yeah, well, we built half of it in game, and then I built the other half of it in the creation kit. So now I got to go back and rebuild all of that in the creation kit and then test it and
Oh
get it
man.
uploaded. So I'm
Well,
like
good news for you
working on
is
it.
myself and C Dante and one of the programmers, Vernus, who had helped. He's the guy who wrote a lot of the back end code for the city plan generator website. We've been talking for a long time about developing a system to import game save settlements into the creation kit. And so, if we can ever solve that mystery, we'll send you a copy.
Oh man, that would be amazing.
So yeah,
Sedante mentioned it before,
yeah.
and it was like during the whole mess because like I'm sure you've heard a lot of like the headache that was the vault. I mean, we figured out a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of
the
things.
vault is a very broken place. Like many
Yeah.
players experience horrible things in there.
Oh yeah, and we told you. I remember Strong bringing you in like, hey, we're like we need some help. You know, it's just not working. Everything that we're doing is not working. And so Sedante, like during the middle of that, he was just like he mentioned that they were working on a way to bring the blueprint file
Hmm.
into the creation kit, and I was just like, I will pay you whatever amount of money you need. I will do like wash cars. I don't care. I will get like a
Hold on just a second.
fundraiser.
My alarm for when our meeting was supposed to go is just going off. It's all I've got a different meeting from my Echo and on my Google Calendar. I don't know what's going on.
Oh wow.
Alexa, stop. I love these Echoes. I put them all over the place because they're now like $20. Like they're ridiculously cheap.
Oh wow,
Uh,
really?
yeah, I think $23 I think right now. And I put them all over my house because I'm a tech junkie. So
That's awesome. I still
some
haven't
people
got
think I'm crazy because like it's listening to you all the time. Whatever. Big
them.
Brother's
Yeah.
always around.
So is your phone. You
Right,
know.
exactly. Like I carry a GPS device with a microphone and a camera on my person at all times. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, add a little bit more. They'll still find a way.
Right, exactly. They've got me. There's nothing I can do about it, unless I want
Yeah.
to go live in the woods with Don.
Yeah.
So so you're excited for 76, which I think is I think there's a lot of people excited for it, and I think there are a lot of people who are holding out and are kind of hating, but I wouldn't say it's an overall hatred. I think the majority are just like they want to see it.
Yeah.
So I think the open beta is a good idea. I mean, it's unfortunate that it's actually like you had to what do you call it, pre-order to get the beta.
Yeah.
But from what I understand is Pete Hines has responded that if you want to cancel after you start the beta, it's fine. So they must be pretty confident in the quality of the game. But I personally, I am very nervous about losing our audience as a Fallout 4 content creator because it's going to be a long time before we can create content for 76, and I have lots more ideas for Fallout 4. So have you been nervous about that at all, about that people would stop caring about the time you're putting into Fallout 4, or would you just naturally progress into full-time 76 content creation if you find that no one cares about your Fallout 4 stuff?
Oh, that's a good question. And yeah, I've had the same kind of feeling that you have, and it really just depends. It depends on the game, honestly. Like if because there's people who are they're just more skeptical. There are a few people that are just like they're like hating the idea of the game, but most people, like you said, are just kind of like, all right, well, let me play it, and then I'll give you my opinion, you know. And so I think that's kind of how it is for me. It's like I'm really curious to see how I'm gonna like it, and if I don't really like the game, I'm not gonna make content on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll probably go back to Fallout 4. But I'm hoping, sunny day. I'll love the game. I think it's great, and make content on it for, I don't know, maybe 2 months or so, and then start incorporating Fallout 4 back into it because I'm sure there's still going to be an audience for Fallout 4. I'm pretty sure. I feel like, especially with the settlement building and with all the mods that people are creating, it's going to be similar to Skyrim. We might not be able to get it on our like graphing calculators, but I think it's going to be around for a while. you know.
Yeah, it'll be a while. I mean, like even people still play Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. The thing that I always look at that makes me nervous about it is that if you look at the difference in number of players from Fallout 3 to Fallout 7 to Fallout New Vegas to Fallout 4, like it's an exponential leap between each game. And so I'm hoping that 76 is enough of a different gameplay loop that people are just like, no, this isn't what I was looking for, and stick back to Fallout 4, because there are a lot of people who still play Fallout 4.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I'm so surprised that even with, I mean, it's been what 3 years, and I look at my, I watch my traffic on my channel, and it's been nothing but growth every single day. Even if it's sometimes if it's 20 subscribers or if it's 200 subscribers, it's like nothing but growth, and I just like this gratitude right there, and like, well, there's an audience for it, and people they're watching, they're playing, and yeah, hopefully that just continues on. And yeah, and the worst case scenario, if Fallout 76 is just horrible, then everyone will flock back to Fallout 4 and be like, yeah, this is this is what we wanted.
I think I would bet, to me, the things that most likely would draw people back would be they miss being overpowered because there's the balance, or they'll hit the end game loop and be like, well, the reason I don't play online games is because I don't want to deal that grind. I would rather be able to just keep starting over and trying new things and tossing in mods to change the game, as opposed to, because that's the thing, is until they get like I mean, I know Bethesda has mentioned several times, like, we know that our games have longevity because of mods. Is that one of the things that there are generally, you can make a handful of changes. Like if you just pick 10 arbitrary mods and add them to Fallout 4, it can completely change the feel of the game. And like the
Oh
fact
yeah.
that there are tens of thousands of them available means you can create as many different versions of that experience as you like.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I had a question for you actually,
Shoot.
because Sim Settlements it's incredible. I mean, it really is for the settlement building. Because I'll build up Sanctuary and I'll show the final tour video, and people literally will say, "You are insane for doing this. I would never spend the time." But Sim Settlements really gives people the ability who don't want to build up, or they don't think that they can. Um, it just adds in. It's really what should have already been in the base game to begin with, I think, or at least a version of it or something. So, question to you: after one, do you see an end for Sim Settlements to where you can move on to like a bigger Fallout 4 project, or would you do something like that?
I don't. I have like such crazy ideas, and now like there's a project that we've been working on for over a year now for some settlements that still isn't. It's not even far enough along to where I could show a trailer or a teaser trailer. Like it's that big in development. And like when I first envisioned it, I thought it was going to take 3 months. And some of it is a matter of the what we were talking about earlier about how sometimes if you don't ride people, then they'll kind of fall off and not deliver any of the content they promised you. Some of it is that, but a lot of it is just that there are so many moving parts that I hadn't been prepared for. And this is just one idea I had that we were trying to run with. And so like I have several other big ideas that could build on the Sim Settlements formula. And like I have an ultimate vision for how I think Fallout 4 should play, and until it gets to that point, the only thing that would likely make me stop developing for Fallout 4 would be servers for 76, or if I like took a new job or something to where I need to like refocus my efforts. Like fortunately, I'm at a point in my career where I know my work very well and I can do it in fairly short amount of time, and I don't have to I don't have to work a bunch of overtime to do to impress anyone. But anytime you change careers, at least me personally, I kind of go above and beyond to make sure I can impress the people that need to be impressed, and make sure that I am doing the best job that I can. And so like when I start a new job, I tend to fold all my hobbies for a while, for a year or two, just to make sure that I'm really got my job down. So if one of those things happens, then maybe I'll stop. But as for right now, Sim Settlements has got a lot of content ahead of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm the exact same way. Like in the same situation, I'm at a job that I've been in for a while, and I've like proven myself, and I get it. It's easy, so I can work my 8 to 5, and then when I come home, I can just dive right into my hobbies. And so if I were to switch to a new job, I would do pretty much the same thing, where it's like hardcore into my jobs until I prove myself and I get that standing, where like they know that I'm a good worker, or I know my stuff, or whatever it is I'm doing. So I completely relate with you there.
Yeah, it's but I don't anticipate anything like that happening. I mean, People have asked me if I intend on making game development a full-time career, and I think just like the idea of going to full-time streamer, it's such a daunting idea of like turning it into a full-time gig. It's like I wouldn't even know how to begin with that. So
Yeah.
so right now I'm pretty content in the situation I've got work-wise.
Yeah,
But
and that's kind of where I'm at too, you know. It's like I'm gonna keep I love making videos. I love making the game videos and also like real life videos. And so I'm just gonna keep doing that. And if it happens to start taking off, like ideally it'd be nice until, you know, it starts taking off and I just keep doing it until one day I can just trade off my day job and then
right.
start posting videos full time. That's like, you know, that's a dream, that's goals right there, but we'll see if that actually happens.
But not chasing it necessarily, but just let it happen. Let it happen when it's gonna
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, I just, you know, I'm all about just doing what you enjoy doing and focusing on that and not
Yeah.
forcing anything. So it's just kind of like I love doing this, so I'm just going to keep doing it.
Yeah, that's. I think Don and I were talking about that when we did a conversation like this, and he was talking about how he finds that the best, most successful creative people tend to be the ones that just chase a passion for the passion's sake, and you know, if there's success outside of that, so be it. But it wasn't the goal.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's because people can pick up on if you're for you know why you're doing what you're doing. Like with sim settlements, we know that you're creating this because you love the game and you love this part of the game and you think it can be better, and so you're making it better. You know, if you were doing it just for the followers and the downloads, you know, and all that, like it would be obvious. It wouldn't be as much passion into it, and I think it goes into like anything that anybody does.
I definitely wouldn't put as much time into bug hunting as I do.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I literally have multiple hours per day dedicated to bug hunting, because there's like, especially this point of life in sim settlements, anything I haven't fixed is so deeply embedded or so hard to lock down that it could be like I could spend 2 or 3 hours and not even get close to figuring out a particular issue. So
Oh, I can imagine.
it's definitely a labor of love at this point. But getting back to sim settlements, because we've gone down the path of the streaming, talking about 76 a lot, which I was happy to do. And it's interesting to hear your perspective on that, because it's something that has always been in the back of my mind, because a lot of people have asked me to stream, but I don't. It doesn't seem like a realistic thing to do for me. But anyway, with your involvement in sim settlements, what would you say was the most surprising part of all of it, or if not the most surprising, what was the best part of it to you? Like, I think you came in not really knowing what to expect, because not only had you not really played the mod, you didn't even have a firm idea of exactly how it worked. But then to come in and start developing for it, like what shocked you, what excited you, what were you most happy with? Any of that?
Yeah. The biggest this was a good thing too. The biggest struggle that I had was not being able to use other mods, you know. And the tool that you have now, I absolutely love it, you know, and I use it all the time. But that was the biggest adjustment. Was like, okay, all right, here's what I had, and I'm so used to like I had 30, 40 other mods, only settlement mods loaded, and could just basically use whatever I wanted. And so that was a bit of a struggle figuring out like, okay, I know how I want something to look, and these are the pieces that I have. And so when I started learning place everywhere, like all the, rotating and scaling and doing all that, like I didn't do that before. So I had to, like that lighthouse in Longfellow, I built that like 3 different times. And I really hate that lighthouse, but I really love it at the same time. But it was because that was where I was learning how to angle all those roof pieces and then building walls that did not fit that shape by scaling different pieces down. Like, so that was the most surprising part and the most, I guess, frustrating part. But it was really good because now that's just all I use. I mean, if I wasn't really building in the creation kit, I would be using place everywhere and scaling and rotating things and doing all sorts of things.
I don't think I could live without the scaling tools in PE anymore. They're so good. Like just
yeah,
that.
it's insane. Like I tried building a house that was just vanilla, like no mods, and I'm like, okay, we can get through this, Um, but yeah, that was, and I guess I just wasn't, I had, like you said, I had no idea what to expect. And I really appreciate your faith in me because I was like, yeah, I don't really know much about this mod or what I'm, how it works. And then when it clicked, I was like, oh, I get it. We build it and then it's in like the code and then they put it into the game and then it builds it up as it levels up. Okay, I get it. It makes sense. So once that clicked for me, was when things got a lot smoother. And I guess I really wasn't expecting. I don't know. I guess it was kind of like we had an idea for Longfellow, but it was you're basically like, yeah, whatever you want to do with it. You're the lead designer. Yeah, whatever you want to do. And so I thought that was really cool. But my biggest hiccup was like, is the team gonna like this? Is the team going to approve of this? So like I walked that island so many times, going, okay, I could put residential here, I could put shops here, we could do this there. And then before I did anything, I'm like, well, let's wait for the meeting and ask the team if that's okay. um, so just learning that, it's, I just start building. And then, I mean, you guys are really, really flexible. Or, if you have an idea, it's like, yeah, well, we can do this here. It's just, there's so much of that team effort and it's a team feel of the project. It's not just like a one-man show. It feels like you have a lot of say, I guess. And that was a good feeling.
So would you outside of the Sim Settlements project, had you worked on a team to build a settlement before?
No, the most that I had done was I did a collab with Final Render, where I built the structure, I sent it to him, and he decorated it, and then he sent it back to me. And I made a video on it, and I did the same thing with Commonwealth Charlie. So it was really just 2 collab videos, and there was no like really passing around. It was like, I built the structure. This is what I'm going to do. Here you go. Just decorate it. That's basically what happened with those. So before that, there was no group or team effort at all.
Sure. Do you have a preference for it? Like, did you enjoy it enough where you would like to pursue it again, even outside of Sim Settlements? The idea of having, a team of 5 or 6 people attacking a settlement.
Oh yeah, yeah. Whenever in the middle of some settlements, the vault, I'll complain about the vault build that I did all day, every day, but it was so much fun. I had I created a second channel in my Discord server that was just for Vault VII, whatever, and all the people working on it. So we had people helping out with like the actual mod part, with building part, and that was just so much fun. And I kind of miss it, to be honest with you, like having like this big, this
have,
big idea, and then everyone contributing.
have you done Spectacle VII yet? Because there's a hell of a project.
Yeah, yeah. No, well, right now I'm doing. That's a good idea too. Right now I'm doing the castle because I started doing the castle, and then I stopped and did the vault build. I think I told you about that. So I have to finish the castle because people are just bombarding me with like I go into my own server. I'm like, hey, how's it going, guys? They're like, hey, is the castle finished yet? So a couple more videos on that, and it will be done. And then I'll just be like, okay, freedom to do whatever I want. A small build, another big project. I love Sim Settlements, and I would still love to tackle another, a project that whatever you need help on.
Sure.
I'm available as soon as that castle is finished.
Well then we'll root for your castle build to finish, because I think everyone would love to see another of the caliber of Longfellow's Cabin. It really came out phenomenally. So I guess before we sign off here, is there anything else you'd like to say to our audience, or to your teammates on Sim Settlements, or anybody else?
Just I say it a lot in my videos too, but I really appreciate you bringing me on. And just again, without me even downloading the mod, that was really cool. Like that was really flattering because it's like, hey, here's what I built. What do you think? And you're like, yeah, sure. So that was really awesome, and I learned so much just from this project. I learned how to build so much better, especially working with all these people who are really, really good at what they do and getting their perspective on it. So it was. I'm just really honored to be a part of it. So, and that was awesome. And I'm really excited to see what else your crazy brain will come up with, because it's like all these projects I'm getting like a taste of. I don't want to mention them because I don't know if you've talked about them yet, but I'm like, yes, we've been needing this. And I really feel like your mods that you're doing, especially with the settlement building, it's going to keep that alive, you know.
Well, wait till you see the stream on Friday. If you have time to watch the live stream, definitely check it out, because I've given you an alpha of it, but it didn't have even close to the amount of power it does now. And
Oh man.
I guess I can reveal it. Actually, I can reveal it in this, because by the time this goes out, that mod will already be out. So I added a layers system. So you can actually build like a Photoshop style layers and duplicate them. So you can duplicate entire swaths of your settlement and move it around. It's really powerful. It's almost
just just like in the creation kit where you can do
exactly.
the layers.
Basically, I mean, that's my motivation is always to, it's like we have all this power in the creation kit and there's got to be a way to do it in the game. And so I finally figured out some methods to pull off some of that stuff. So there's the only thing, in my opinion, the last thing I need to figure out how to do, and maybe I will eventually, is a search feature, like a text search feature for workshop items. Like if we could have
that would be awesome.
That to me is like the holy grail for actually my actual holy grail. I think I can accomplish, which is being able to build plot designs in the game and export them. I think that's attainable. But yeah, the when you play around with the layer system, it's pretty mind blowing to have that power in the game. But now that you're a creation kit developer, though, you don't even need to dick around with the in-game tools that much.
Yeah, I do miss building. I think I build a little bit, or decorate anyway, faster in game. And so there's sometimes like with this castle build, I'm like, I wish I could just go into the game and do this real fast. And so that, so I will say this though, to anyone, all the people who follow me and they've been asking like, oh, can you upload your sanctuary as a mod, or, whatever build that I have out there. I get so many comments on my videos saying, can you turn this into a mod? I'm just going to tell them to start bugging you until you can figure out how to bring that into the creation kit. So just message kinggath, okay?
I actually reached out to Varenus. He's like a professional game developer, and so when he has time for us, it's rare he can pull off some magic. But he said he's gonna try this Wednesday, so that would be tomorrow, and see if he can quickly add the functionality I would need to the code base. So we'll see what happens. I'm crossing my fingers that he can pull it off quickly, because he's got the base done already. There's just a few more things he's got to figure out.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that'd be so cool, because all of the existing work that I have, and not to mention the stuff that I'm going to be doing, but just like all the builds that I have out there that I really enjoy, I'm just like, I can't recreate those.
Right. Yeah. So to suddenly be able to turn them all into mods would be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would be into that, and I think that's why C. Dante was pursuing it as well. And so I will if Varenus comes through for me, I will absolutely get C. Dante involved and see if we can add that as a feature to transfer settlements, because I wouldn't be shocked. Because C. Dante is a madman. I wouldn't be shocked if he could set it up to where you could just export your settlement directly to an ESP file. That wouldn't shock me at all.
You guys do like amazing work. I don't know how you do it, but I'm a huge fan, so I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, it's been awesome talking to you. Thank you for making the time for this, and not to mention all the hundreds of hours you probably put into your Sim Settlements designs. So thank you so much, Cordless VII, for being an awesome developer.